negotiation that preceded this gesture either, or that this kind of negotiation, at once ridiculous and agitating, would become a regular part of her mornings and afternoons. Before this, Angie worked as a psychiatric nurse in the evenings and biked and painted in her off hours. On weekends, she went hiking with her husband at Minnehaha Falls. Her life was just her life. But the truth is, there's little even the most organized people can do to prepare themselves for having children. They can buy all the books, observe friends and relations, review their own memories of childhood. But the distance between these proxy experiences and the real thing, ultimately, can be measured in light years. Prospective parents have no clue what their children will be like. No clue what it will mean to have their hearts permanently annexed. No clue what it will feel like to second-guess so many seemingly simple decisions, or to be multitasking even while they're brushing their teeth, or to have a ticker tape of concerns forever whipping through their heads. Becoming a parent is one of the most sudden and dramatic changes in adult life. In 1968, a sociologist named Alice Rossi published a paper that explored the abruptness of this transformation at great length. She called it, simply, Transition to Parenthood. She noted that when it comes to having a child, there is no equivalent of courtship, which one does before marriage, or job training, which one does before, say, becoming a nurse. The baby simply appears, quote, fragile and mysterious, and, quote, totally dependent. At the time, it was a radical observation. In Rossi's day, scholars were mainly concerned with the effect of parents on their children. What Rossi thought to do was swing the telescope around and ask this question from the reverse perspective. What was the effect of parenthood on adults? How did children affect their mothers' and fathers' lives? 45 years later, it's a question we're still trying to answer. I first started thinking about this question on the evening of January 3rd, 2008, when my son was born. But I didn't really explore it until more than 2 years later, when I wrote a story for New York Magazine that examined one of the more peculiar findings in the social sciences: that parents are no happier than non-parents, and in certain cases are considerably less happy. This conclusion violates some of our deepest intuitions, but it stretches back nearly 60 years, even predating Rossi's research. The first report came in 1957, a peak time for the veneration of the nuclear family. The paper was called Parenthood as Crisis, and in just 4 pages, the author managed to destroy the prevailing orthodoxy, declaring that babies weaken marriages rather than save them. He quoted a representative mother. "We knew where babies came from, but we didn't know what they were like." He then listed the complaints of the mothers he surveyed: loss of sleep, especially during the early months, chronic tiredness or exhaustion, extensive confinement to the home and the resulting curtailment of their social contacts, giving up the satisfactions and the income of outside employment, additional washing and ironing, guilt at not being a quote-unquote better mother, the long hours and 7-day and night week necessary in caring for an infant, decline in their housekeeping standards, worry over their appearance, increased weight after pregnancy, etc. Fathers added more economic pressure, less sex, and, quote, general disenchantment with the parental role, end quote, to the brew. In 1975, another landmark paper showed that mothers presiding over an empty nest were not despairing, as conventional wisdom had always assumed, but happier than mothers who still had children at home. During the 80s, as women began their great rush into the workforce, sociologists generally concluded that while work was good for women's well-being, children tended to negate its positive effects. Throughout the next 2 decades, a more detailed picture emerged, with studies showing that children tended to compromise the psychological health of mothers more than fathers, and of single parents more than married parents. Meanwhile, psychologists and economists started to stumble across similar results, often when they weren't looking for them. In 2004, 5 researchers, including the Nobel Prize-winning behavioral economist Daniel Kahneman, did a study showing which activities gave 909 working women in Texas the most pleasure. Childcare ranked 16th out of 19, behind prepping food, behind watching TV, behind napping, behind shopping, behind housework. In an ongoing study, Matthew Killingsworth, a researcher at UC Berkeley and UC San Francisco, has found that children also rank low on the list of people whose company their parents enjoy. As he explained it to me in a phone conversation, quote, interacting with your friends is better than interacting with your spouse, which is better than interacting with other relatives, which is better than interacting with acquaintances.